Sure.
Yeah, Spolpaki is looking pretty good right now, actually. Come to think of it, Spolpaki might be. I think right now would probably be a hard call to get a ticket to Spolpakia because everybody wants to leave Dodge. Oh, look at that. We're on the air. Good morning, Michael Knight. How are you?
I'm thinking about Slovakia for you. Don't choose too quickly because I'm thinking of the south of France, Côte d'Azur, somewhere between Cannes and Nice,
Well,
um, where the food is good and the weather is fine, the people are okay, the Mediterranean is close by, and politics are not top of mind with people. And at 10 o'clock at night, you can see everybody in the town walking arm in arm through their village, just taking in the evening and thinking about a little espresso or an outdoor cafe or a walk on La Plage.
oddly enough, I know a little place like that.
No,
What's it called?
don't know.
It is called Calabriere,
What about,
and it is between Marseille and Nice. Is it
yeah,
in the south of France?
Nice is nice.
Nice is nice, yes, and I have some very good connections in that town. Some very good connections, and now that you mention it, yeah, that might be a better alternative than Spolpakia. That might be a better place to go because
Tom Robbins once recommended, our friend Tom Robbins, the author, in the Connor, recommended the Netherlands. He said that'd be a great place for Americans to go be expatriates. Uh, he
except they
didn't.
don't want us.
Well, nobody wants us now, but the reason that's not my first choice is because
It's cold.
weather.
Yeah, yeah, it
I
gets cold there. I might as well, you can almost stay here.
I don't like putting on long pants.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the cold. I've done my cold. I mean, I've done my cold. It's, yesterday it was, I don't know, 62 degrees here on the 30th of May. Um,
Do you think that's not enough in terms of temperature? You would have preferred more.
I would have preferred 72.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be 92, but 72 is a nice number. And I
Let's
would
see
have,
what we have
yeah,
here today. We're gonna
and,
have.
and 62 and damp is not a nice number. The weather does get to you. There's a reason why everybody gets out of Seattle at some point.
Going to be a high today of 78 here in Pasadena. And it's currently sunny outside and blue skies.
Yeah, it's sunny here. I mean, we got some a marine layer that's receding. I like that. It sounds very weatherman like, doesn't it? So we have that weather that's receding, that marine layer that's receding. Temperature wise, I don't, I mean, it's 58 right now. Supposed to be a high of 66, and it's going to get cloudier this afternoon. And they're looking at rain tomorrow, rain Sunday,
Oh,
rain
no.
Monday, rain Tuesday,
Oh, no.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'm not holding out much hope for much of anything here as far as temperature. I think if I want it to be warmer, I'm going to have to get in the car and drive south, way south, a lot
Yeah.
south.
South, and a serious move to the south.
Serious south, yeah. I mean, serious south like Central Valley South,
Oh, no. Don't do that.
or I could go east to the Palouse. I mean, this is probably a warming up time of year for the Palouse, I would think.
Um, wasn't it 80 degrees in Tri Cities the other day?
beats the living crap out of me. And if I was there, I don't know that I'd admit it.
I think I heard that. It doesn't sound right, to tell you the
Well,
truth.
I think
Give
it's
it-
always hot there because of the nuclear stuff, right? I mean, they have like a whole bunch of, I got that Hanford laboratory there, and that thing is always a few degrees hotter than everything else around it. I mean, that's where Oppenheimer worked, isn't it? I would
No,
hazard a guess that.
they were enriching some materials there, but Oppenheimer worked down in New Mexico.
And here,
Are we frozen? We are frozen. Well, rats. I don't know if I'm the only one on, or usually when we freeze like this, I'm not on. I can see myself. I still have motion, but you're frozen. So
All right,
there we go.
can you see me? Can I see
Yes.
you?
Now I see you and I hear you.
There you go. All right.
I'm glad I didn't bail out.
All right. Yeah. No. Don't bail out. Always remember the rules, Michael. Always act as if you're on the air, even if you don't know that you are.
Well, actually,
And
that's what I
don't
was
bail
doing.
out. It could only be a temporary. It's probably some guy playing with a plug in an Xfinity truck somewhere, and he's just got nothing else to do. So he says, let me shut this block off for a minute.
It could have been somebody in the cloud.
I mean, there's lots of people in the cloud. I see a time in our lives in America when no longer will they say if you're good, you'll go to heaven. They'll say if you're good, you'll go to the cloud.
If you're good, you'll go to Fifth Avenue when Donald Trump shoots someone. It's you. And I just want you to know that after he does shoot you, his support amongst his base increases, just like it always does.
You're going to have to explain to me because I can't.
Oh, we're frozen again.
nothing here is.
I'm going to pretend that I'm on the air with Vinnie, Richichi, New York Vinnie, and we're broadcasting or webcasting our Fractious Freaky Friday. And it's turning out to be more fractious than usual.
Everything's fine here.
We're just waiting for the
theory of Donald Trump Inc. right now.
waiting for the news.
No question about that. Think, Katie, of what's happened over the
Come on back, man. Are you there? Or am I gone? Maybe you're talking to the gathered multitudes.
He's found responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars of fraud. He's now been found guilty by a jury this year of felony violations related to a
I will look at my texts.
on his third wife right after the birth of his latest child.
All right. How do we look now, Michael? Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, you're back.
All right. Let's. I switched internets here. See if we can get the T-Mobile to work. Get away from Xfinity. Xfinity's horrible anyway. All right. Let's go back to the premise that we had. Can you explain to me why anybody would want this whiny bitch for president?
No, it violates every element of taste, judgment, and intelligence that we would associate with an extraordinary, well-informed voter, a middle-of-the-road moderate, or even a left or right-wing radical. It doesn't make any sense why any of those people, any of those voters, any of those American political positions would be satisfied to make Donald Trump their candidate. He has no content. He's just an angry cipher, an angry zero. And the the day I'm looking forward to is July 11th. That's when he's sentenced, and I think at that time we have to assume that he's going to have to do some jail time. 6 months in the
No,
can.
never put him in jail.
6 months in the
Never,
can. Well,
never.
the judge that's gonna sentence him is the one who's gonna make that decision.
The best that you're gonna the best
Home.
that's gonna happen is that, and this is what I would love. This is what I would love more than jail. Really, is I would love to see him on Saturday and Sunday morning having to clean up trash on the side of the Grand Central Parkway in one of those orange suits that they send the weekend prisoners out in, and have to do, I don't know, 100 hours of public service, which would be the first 100 hours of public service he ever did.
That he had ever done, even counting all of his hours as president. The
That's what I'd like to. If I were the judge, that's what I would do, and I would just love to see him on the side of the Grand Central Parkway, out there by LaGuardia Airport with the stick, just picking up soda cans and other crap that people have thrown out of their cars because they're pigs, and putting them in those big plastic bags that you have to tie up and leave on the side of the road.
It would just be a press conference. He wouldn't get any picking
You
up
could
done.
do a live feed on that, and I'd watch it.
I don't think that the press conference is what we need from him. I think we need.
Well, that wasn't a press conference, Michael. That was a half-hour rant.
Well, that's what he would do picking up trash. He'd just rant as he was going, and it would all be covered and put on television.
Yeah, but at least it'd be on the side of the Grand Central Parkway or the Cross Bronx Expressway, so you wouldn't be able to hear him. He'd be ranting, but nobody'd hear him.
Cross the Bronx sounds good.
And especially if you have him on the Grand Central right there by LaGuardia Airport. Matter of fact, you make him pick up trash right in front of where Trump Airways used to be.
Where Theo LaGuardia used to read the funny papers.
Yes, I mean, we're LaGuardia. There used to be the Terminal F for Trump Air, which I guess took over from Eastern Airlines when the Eastern Shuttle went belly up. And I think that the picture of him in front of Trump, what used to be Trump Air, I don't know what it is now, in an orange jumpsuit with his hair flying all over the place, picking up trash is, you know what? If that was a pay-per-view, I'd watch it. I'd give him $9 a month to watch that.
I like it. How long would the sentence be? He would have to pick up garbage for how many days to satisfy?
Well, he's got to do it for. I'd give him a minimum of, 10 consecutive weekends in the summer, where it's nice and hot out there on the side of the road.
By the way, there's a movie at Cannes. We were just talking about the coast of France. The movie at Cannes that got an 8-minute standing ovation is produced by a millionaire named Dan Snyder. I don't think he's the same guy that once owned the Washington Redskins Commanders. And it's a story about Donald Trump. It's called The Apprentice, and it's the early years of Donald Trump when he's riding around in the limousine with Roy Cohn and being sued by guys who put up his drywall but never got paid.
Yeah.
And the problem with the movie is it was well received, but distributors are reluctant to make a deal not knowing if Trump's going to be president again, or they're going to be in the crosshairs for financially supporting this patently anti-Trump film. If you get a chance to see it, it's called The Apprentice. I don't know if they're going to be streaming it anywhere soon, but right now it is a project in Cannes that's received support from the crowds in terms of their approval of the filmmaking aspect of it, but the business side of it, the distribution and collecting of dollars for tickets in America right now, is giving everybody else pause. They're not certain they want to get in bed with an anti-Trump film right now financially and take a
You mean
gamble on it.
the liberal elites are afraid of it?
There was a discussion last night that I thought was worthy of remembering on MSNBC as they were doing their post-verdict special about why Democrats have not responded to the result of the trial, why they're being quiet and demure and not attacking Trump, while the Republicans, down to the last man, even Nikki Haley, are attacking the structure of the Justice Department, attacking the result of the trial, the judge, the jury, the media, New York. Every element of the trial is under fire from the Republicans, while the Democrats are asking if anybody would like a tuna fish sandwich. Anybody hungry here? Anybody need a sandwich? Can I get you anything? They have taken no steps to make an advantageous position regarding Trump and his trial and his conviction. And what are they going to do when he's sentenced? What are they going to do when he gets his sentence? What their reaction will they have then? Why can't they be more combative? Why can't they take a position on this and defend it?
Do they need to be?
Well, in case you don't know, they're a point down. If you can't beat Donald Trump right now, you can't play ball.
Yeah, but what does it gain them if they now listen? They cheered yesterday in Congress. I guess when the verdict was announced at some point in Congress, I guess the Democrats all cheered. Which I didn't think was right either, to be honest with you. Yesterday was a sad day for this country.
Well,
I mean, it really was. I mean, say what you want.
But if you listen to Trump today, what could be sadder than another day of just Trump spewing?
Well, yeah. I mean, but yesterday, I mean, we have a former president that's a convicted felon. And it is casting aspersions on the justice system. I mean, he didn't cast aspersions on the justice system when some cop held his knee down on George Floyd's neck and killed him. He doesn't cast aspersions on the justice system when cops shoot somebody in the back. Now, if anybody's got a right to complain about the justice system, those are the people that have a right to complain about the justice system. The people who are lying in bed and, the cops break in and they shoot them in their bed. Now, you want to talk about a justice system, people that are put in jail for 25 years before they find out or figure out that the whole thing was a phony witness or this or that. And the only reason that they went to jail is because they beat up a white woman.
You mean a witch hunt?
Yeah, that's what galls me is all these Marco Rubio and all these JD Vance and they all want to stand up now and say how corrupt the legal system is. I mean, if you're some guy who's been standing on a street corner in Detroit selling weed for the past 10 years, you probably know how corrupt the legal system is. You probably know.
I don't know if it's corrupt. I think it's slow moving and often.
I think in some places it's corrupt. I don't doubt that there's corruption in the legal system and that there's problems that happen and but has anybody shown us a better system?
Well,
it fails. It makes mistakes. And you can argue that all day.
And
But
it
it's
can be and it can be slowed down by like Judge Eileen Cannon and those of her ilk that are only interested in giving Donald Trump a break instead of a day in court.
I mean, this guy enjoys more advantages
That's
than
true.
any 10 people put together in New York.
That's true.
From the motorcade that he gets to drive down and they stop traffic for him, to the ass kissers that show up outside of Trump Tower so he can wave to them. All his life, he's gotten. He is benefited from different advantages. Yesterday was the first time that he had to stand up in court. By the way, in the same court that the people who he almost had lynched in the 80s with the Central Park Five, the same court building that they were acquitted in.
That's where he was yesterday.
That's where he got his sentence. Now, I'm sorry, we live in a country where you can't get 12 people to agree on what to have for lunch. But it didn't take them damn long to convict Trump, did it? So there must have been something there.
I think that the evidence was overwhelming in terms of.
Well, yeah, if you write notes on the guy on the paper that you make a deal on, you write notes on it. Yeah.
The reason the verdict was returned so quickly is because there was a preponderance of evidence, and the defense, for all their posturing, did not put up convincing witnesses, did not let Donald Trump testify, did not take apart, as much as they tried, the stories that were presented by the 22 witnesses for the prosecution. And they failed in every aspect of the defense to create even the slightest element of reasonable doubt. And so the reason Trump lost is because he didn't win. He didn't put together a good defense. He didn't have a fight. He didn't have any fight in him, and he didn't have a legal leg to stand on, and he convinced nobody.
Well, when you when a jury of 12 people believe a shyster lawyer and a porn star over the guy who used to be the president of the United States, that's got to tell me something right there.
Good point.
I mean, let's face it. We were not dealing. You know, your witnesses were not the cream of society. You had a taxi medallion lawyer and a porn star.
It was
and
a ragtag bunch.
And they got the ex-president of the United States convicted.
On all counts.
Yeah. Not like one count or two counts. Yeah, you did something bad and we're going to slap you on the wrist for it. They spanked him. They bent him over that court rail and they spanked him.
I think that's pronounced spank.
Yes, they spanked him.
There you go.
While his spank boy, Alan Weisselberg, sat in Rikers Island and probably watched the whole thing.
You think they have TV in Weissenberg's cell block?
Oh, I'm sure he was in the rec room, the day room.
You can watch a little of the highlights. But we have now.
Maybe not. Maybe because it was about the same time as Sue Simmons would have been on with the news, and I'm thinking that maybe most of those convicted felons that are sitting there in jail, you know, want to see Sue Simmons.
The aspect that he didn't get a fair trial, that somehow it was fixed, that it was a witch hunt, that it was a rig. These are interesting concepts, but there's no facts that can be brought to bear to expand on these stories. There's no question and answer that would bring it into focus and explain what he's really talking about. These are just off the cuff comments that he makes every day, and it gets to be impossible to believe that he has support based on what he's saying, based on his daily explanation of who Donald Trump is and what's wrong with the world and why can't he get an even break.
Yeah, impossible to believe, but true. Impossible to believe. I agree with you 100%, Michael, but true.
I think that this judge has seen a lot of Trump in the past couple of months and has endured insults, professional and otherwise, threats against himself and his family, his daughter, threats against the officers of the court. Why can't someone who has given us these elements to wrestle with and this level of disdain for society and law and those who are officers of the law, why can't he be sent to jail? Why can't he get 6 months? Why is it impossible to dole out to him the level of punishment that would go to any other New Yorker who is guilty of the same 34 counts of felonies?
Well, because I don't know, to be honest with you, I don't know that they would put somebody in jail for altering business records.
How about 10 violations of the gag rule?
Yeah, I mean that might be something, but again, I just think, first of all, putting Trump in jail, while it's so, it's so delicious to think about if you're not a Trump fan, it's only going to make the problems in this country worse, the division in this country worse.
But that's like saying you committed murder, but if we punish you for it, it'll
But
just
this
be
isn't
worse.
murder. That's just, so
Yeah,
it's
it
not like
is.
saying that. This
It
is
is. It's
anywhere near murder.
precisely like saying that. Is that what you're saying is your violation, your breaking of the law was so egregious that we can't punish you for it.
We're not saying don't punish him. Well, I'm just saying that I don't know that you're going to be. First of all, I don't know that anybody else doing this would get a jail sentence either. It's falsifying business records. I actually know.
To change the outcome of a presidential election.
Right, but that's not what it is. It's falsifying business records. Whatever it is, it's basically the same. Felonious, it is. So, I mean, you'd have to show me other people that went to jail for the same thing, and how long they went to jail, which I'm sure the judge is going to consider.
11 violations of the gag rule is no mean feat. It takes a very special person to do it 11 times in a row, and
Right.
he owes money for it, but he hasn't paid it. He has to pay for those violations.
I don't think it's going to happen. I listen. I think he should pay like anybody else. I just don't think that they're going to do it. That they would do it. That they would put him in jail. They may give him some kind of, like I said, weekend jail or home probation or something like that.
Home confinement.
I could see them doing.
And it's going to be just days before the Republican convention in Milwaukee.
Yeah, but I don't see them putting him in jail.
5 days.
I think he's going to earn a trip to the slammer based on how he behaves between now and the time he's sentenced.
Well, I think that's going to certainly figure in, because first of all, he's not repentant.
No remorse.
There's no remorse there. There's nothing that says to you. I mean, at least if he stood up and he said, "You know what?
This has been horrible.
We did this. We did it. I'm sorry. We didn't do anything that other people haven't done, and we did it. We got caught."
And yet today his comments were, "I did nothing wrong."
Right. He doesn't think. See,
The
that's
trial,
that's
the
why this
trial is
guy is such a psycho, because he doesn't think he does anything wrong.
But Vinny, if he was listening in right now, he'd say that New York Vinny's got the right idea. They can't punish me. They can't stop me. They can't slow me down. They can't affect my
I'm not saying you
candidacy in
don't
any way.
punish him. I never said you don't punish him.
Well, the only way to punish a man like that stops him in his tracks is to send him to jail. The fining, that's good. Fine him and make him pay for his behavior in court. But if the level of judgment in this country is based on how powerful and how difficult you are, just take the most difficult CEO, psychopath all the way down the line, and tell him you can commit crimes and we'll prosecute you. Just understand from the beginning we can't punish you. We can take you to court, but when the decision is in, you're free to go. You're free as a bird. You're different from the rest of us. You don't merit punishment.
Well, he is different than the rest of us, though, Michael. I mean, the reality is he is different. He's the former president of the United States.
Is he different?
And the
Different than us?
logistics alone.
But he can't be different. He can't be different from us before the law. The law has to apply to him, or it doesn't.
Well,
And
again, show me other people that have gone to jail for the same thing.
that
And what
can't
their
be the measure.
sentences has been, which I'm sure the judge is looking at. I mean, this judge seems to be on top of it. It looks like he's a fair judge. Looks like he knows what he's doing. I'm sure he's going to look and try to find other people who've committed similar crimes and sentence them accordingly. I just don't know.
Well, there are sentencing guidelines in place right now. There doesn't have to be somebody else that commits the same crime and goes to jail before you go, or else no one would ever go, because the first person to commit murder would get off scot-free because nobody had committed murder before him.
No,
That's bullshit.
that's not bullshit, Michael. He's good. Put him. You know what? If they put him, I just don't think he's going to wind up doing a day in jail. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know everything in the world. I'm just telling you here and now. My thought is that he's not going to do a day in jail. You'll see him picking up garbage on the side of the Grand Central Parkway before you'll see him in jail.
That would be good.
He's not going to go to jail. Not for this. Now, there's other things that who knows what's going to happen. But this particular crime, he's not going to wind up going to jail for. I'm 100% positive of that. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. I'm not one of these people that get paid a gazillion dollars to be on CNN. I just know the New York justice system a little bit. And I know that and I just get the feeling he's not going to wind up doing a day in jail. First of all, it's his first offense. You really got to do something to be put in jail on your first offense in New York City. Yeah, I mean, they let people walk that assault people, that beat people up, that kill people.
And you can assault someone in New York or kill someone at your discretion and not be sentenced.
No, not at your discretion, but you can get a charge knocked down, especially if you're a first-time offender. If you have no previous criminal record
and you commit murder, you're good.
No. But there's people that assault people that get released on their own recognizance, and then go to trial. They plea bargain down, and they get a light sentence, time served, or whatever it is. It's virtually impossible to go to jail unless you've committed a major felony, like an A felony. I think all of his felonies are D felonies, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right.
So he doesn't even have an A felony. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't like to see him go to jail. All I'm saying is I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that this judge is going to put the ex-president of the United States in jail. I think you're much more likely to have him doing some kind of public service, some kind of weekend detention, maybe wear a cuff, which would be interesting.
I think if that's the case, you can usher him right into the White House again.
I'm not sure that you can't do that already. I'm not sure that he's not on the way already. His campaign raised $34 million yesterday.
What's the name of that town in France?
Calabriere.
I guess we have to do the first and last in a hurry, Vinny. We got to get out of here.
Yeah, no, I think I think I'm telling you right now. I think we're in a whole world of shit.
I have a friend who has said to me once a week for the past couple of years, "How is it nobody has killed this guy? How is it nobody has blown this guy away?" That's the American way to solve problems that are intractable like that.
Well, I don't even want to go there on a forum. That's not a way to solve our problems.
Well, according to you, there is no solution. He can do what he wants and he can skate.
I'm not. I never said that, Michael.
He's absolutely
where did you hear me say that he can do what he wants?
Because you said that there's no way that he will face justice for what he's done.
What is justice, though? Will justice be putting him in jail?
Well, as you know, when judges make a decision to send someone to jail, there are sentencing guidelines that are associated with the crime. You don't give somebody 20 years for a D felony. He could get 6 months. He could get 6 days. I don't know what the sentencing guidelines are, but they exist. And the judge, when he determines that the guilty person that now has to face the justice that they've received, and the guilty verdict is now, it's time for the sentencing to go. The goes with that. It's all booked out, and I don't know what it is. 6 months.
It's not. It's not all booked out. There's a lot of leeway.
Discretion
for the judge.
But between A and B is where that discretion lies.
Well, he's got D felonies, Michael. They're not. I mean, they're not considered to be major felonies.
If the result of those criminal acts was that he was elected president, then that is a rather serious felony. If the result of his crime was someone changed the outcome of the election, that's worthy of a sentence. It's worthy of jail time.
I will be shocked if he winds up in jail.
Well, I think he's already earned a little jail time for the actions in violation of the gag order.
You don't think that if he really, that they would have already have put him in jail for what he said?
He got 10
for all the things that he said. Over the course of his trial, you don't think that the judge would have put him in jail already if he was gonna?
Well, the judge said one more and you're going to jail, and there was not one more. He heard that.
He did two of them this morning in his ramble.
Well, that was since the case was concluded.
Now
he's going to face it again. Now he faces those charges based on his comments today. You're right. His comments today violated the gag order, and I don't see how the judge can say, "I told you one more time you're going to jail." What I meant was one more time and you're not going to jail. What I meant was I have no teeth. I have no ability to enforce the law that I would enforce on anybody else in your position.
Well, $34.8 million is what they raised between the announcing of the verdicts and this morning.
Well, I hope it'll go to talk radio stations across the nation. I hope that money gets spent in media buys.
That's what we did for. That's the public opinion. That's what people are voting on. They're voting with their pocketbooks.
Well, also they're voting as they see the tsunami of negative, right-wing, harsh, fascist media that has taken up the position that the legal system in New York is designed to embarrass and inconvenience Donald Trump, and America has to react to that. And they did by sending money.
Well, when the cult leader's in trouble, they send money.
And that's why Donald Trump is doing his act and getting a lot of publicity for it. And the Democrats are doing nothing in response. They can't even sell the fact that the economy is better, that the unemployment is down, that the stock
Yeah.
market is up. They can't sell it. They're gonna
Yeah.
have to get more aggressive.
Well, I think that's without a doubt that's true. But I also think that they're sitting back, and I don't know why they are, but it seems to me that they're sitting back and they're waiting at least until the convention, and maybe after the convention, until September, when people, we follow this stuff, so it becomes larger in our lives than it is in most people's lives. If you walk into this, I walked into the Starbucks this morning. Nobody was talking about Trump getting convicted, unless if they were talking quietly about it. People I talked to were talking about the accident that happened last night on Aurora, where somebody was seriously hurt. Uh, what the price of this? People weren't. This isn't top of the mind awareness yet for people. It is for us because we follow it. And maybe that's part of it, is the cult, the MAGA, follow it much more than the average person does. Now, maybe the average person is going to be smart enough to look at this and say, I don't want a convicted felon as the president of the United States. Maybe the truest thing out of this whole thing to come is that the decision is going to be made on November 5th. I think that's election day, right? November 5th?
Correct.
I think that's where is the last chance that we have.
Well, now you sound like the Trump positioning statement. That's their positioning statement. The last chance to save America is to vote for Donald Trump.
Well, I think it is the last chance. I think it is the last chance to save America, but it's not to vote for Donald Trump. No, I think this is a very important election, and whether you like Biden or you don't like Biden, or you agree with his Israel policy, you don't agree with his Israel policy, you have to look at what the alternative is. And if you think that rambling idiot that just did that screed an hour ago should be anywhere near the White House, then you're a whack job.
Well, we have.
I don't care what you think of Biden.
We have a number of whack jobs right now, perhaps 30 to 40% of the nation that has lost their mind, lost their moral equilibrium, and lost their ability to judge right from wrong or truth from lies. And they are unlike the Democrats that you describe as too busy worrying about an accident on Aurora to follow what's happening to their nation.
No, I didn't say it about the Democrats. I'm just saying about people in general. I don't think they're as tuned in.
People in general now are not comfortable enough in their distance from the facts to just say, I can't follow this every day, so I'm not going to be that interested. I'll waste my vote. I'll waste my energy. I'll wonder why this all happened on November 5th. How could this have happened? How did this happen to me? Because I was not interested, because I wasn't following the news, because I wasn't active enough.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, Michael. I don't think that's what I said. I said that people aren't going to get into this until after the conventions and traditionally around Labor Day. That's when people get into these elections. That's when they start to pay more attention.
The conventions many decisions used to be made at the convention level, but this election doesn't require a convention. It's going to be Trump and Biden. The conventions won't change that. I don't even know if they'll focus as much as they used to on the actual decisions that were made and the people that are involved in the.
Well, look at what they did the last time for the Trump thing. They didn't even have a platform.
They won't have one this time.
Yeah, I mean, they don't. It's not like Trump is coming out and saying, "This is what I'm going to do for you.
In
This is
fact,
what I'm going to do for America.
he's
This is
talking
how I'm going
about
to fix things that are going on."
barbecue grills for some strange reason. Don't ask me to explain that. But Trump is considering the people crossing the border with barbecue grills to be the enemy of the people. What's he talking about?
All
when he says that?
17 million of them that crossed this week. Yeah, that's. He's used that line a couple of times now. That 17 million people have crossed the border.
And what is a sensible person supposed to do with that? A Trump fan will take the number and run with it and distribute those facts and lies among their friends. What does a normal person do when he hears something like that? It's a write-off.
Well, a normal person might go to his computer and punch in immigration. What do you call it? Illegal immigration stats, and look at how many encounters there are at the border. Pick the border, northern or southern, and see that maybe there's 8 million or 5 million or 1 million or however many there are.
You make a
That's
good
what
point
a normal
there.
person that has this kind of information available to them by just clicking it on the computer.
Why aren't more people? Why aren't 17 million people crossing from the Canadian border into Montana? What prevents them from doing that? Why is it always the southern border? And why do criminals come to the southern border and interesting and mild-mannered Canadians come from the north?
And I think that Trump may be right, that maybe the people that are coming to this country are insane, that they want to come in, with the possibility that he could be the next president, that they would want to come here would make me question somebody's sanity.
Well, they used to say we're coming here for a better life, but now the better life is not available, so we're just coming to watch the show because there is no better political show on the planet.
Well, unfortunately, though, even with the political show, it's better than where a lot of these people are coming from. So that's got to tell you something right there.
Well, Vinnie, America's always had potential.
Are horrible. I mean, they're coming from places where if you disagree, if you do a radio thing like we do here, they come to your house, they drag you out, you're never seen again.
Well, that could be our fate should Trump win again.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. Free speech will be under threat.
Did you happen to see
in California? I don't know how much effect Trump will have on the comings and goings and the daily work of California. California can secede from the union and still feed the nation. It's going to cost you more for tomatoes, though. I want you to know that. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, there's going to be a tax on to you. If you want tomato juice, man, you better sidle up to somebody in Georgia or something. I don't know. Do they grow tomatoes in Georgia? I think Georgia's where they grow tomatoes.
You're going to have to grow them on your stoop.
Yeah, you better get used to. You better get used to growing your own vegetables. Did you happen to see the junior senator from Ohio on with Wolf Blitzer a little while ago? Did you happen to catch that?
No, I didn't. Tell me, please.
It was a golden moment in broadcasting. One of the things that ex-president Slapdick, or as I now call him, 34,
yes,
said in his ramble this morning is that the United States is a fascist nation.
I see.
That we're a bunch of fascists. So J.D. Vance, the junior senator from Ohio, went on CNN with Wolf Blitzer. And
did Wolf correct him?
Asked him straight out, do you believe that this is a fascist nation? That the United States is a fascist nation? And J.D. Vance did some fancy footwork and said, well, I believe, blah, blah, blah. And he said, no. Answer the question. Do you believe that the United States of America is a fascist nation?
And Senator Vance had already said that he believed it was, so they were clarifying, right?
And so he danced a little bit more. And Blitzer wouldn't let him go because, Blitzer's, I don't know if it's his grandparents, were concentration camp victims.
Right.
So Blitzer probably knows a little bit about fascist nations.
And it's not in his nature to be that confrontational in his interviews, regardless of the subject.
And so he pressed him again, and he pressed him several times. And I thought it was a great moment in broadcasting.
And how was it resolved?
Vance wouldn't say. Vance danced the question. He did the Vance dance. He danced around the question and danced around the question, and he never said, no, I don't believe the United States of America is a fascist nation.
He couldn't say yes, but he wouldn't say no.
He couldn't say it. He couldn't say anything that would offend Donald Trump. That's what he couldn't say. He couldn't say anything that would offend Trump.
That's the interesting thing about this relationship between the Republican Party and Trump, and that is they dare not say anything. There's no position they can take that is safe for them. They have to be active and talk about the witch hunt and the big lie and Trump won. But when it comes to actually going point by point on what they believe and how they intend to govern, there's nothing there, and there can't be anything there. They live in fear.
Because they don't govern. It's not about governing this country.
No, it's power.
None of it.
Just holding office.
None of it is about. Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't there to govern this country. Matt Gaetz isn't there to govern this country or to govern things.
True.
They're not there for that. They're there to get clicks on social media and raise money. They're there to be stars. That's what they want to be. And the way they can be stars is by coming up with this crazy ass stuff and following Donald Trump. Because he's got a base of people. And that's how they survive. And
from one day to the next, they just try to stay out of trouble.
And on the day that Trump keels over and dies, their careers will be over.
And there'll be a party without leadership, a party without a platform, a party without a candidate. It won't be a party. It'll just be a grouping of one-time influential politicians that squandered their opportunity and now stand for nothing and now lead no one and have lost their appeal.
The truest thing that I've heard a politician say in a long time was Liz Cheney during the January 6th hearings, where she in her closing statement said, Donald Trump will be gone.
And we'll remember you.
And you will still be here. And we will remember you. People will remember the people that tried to take apart this country.
It's going to, the effect that the Republicans are putting on the political discourse right now is going to take generations to fix. The hatred and the rejection of the truth and the spread of via the media of the lies that surround Donald Trump will take generations to fix.
Do you really think it'll be fixed? I mean, do you see a day where this country
in the same way the Civil War was fixed? Yes, Vinnie, it'll be a scar that will never heal.
Yeah, I don't know.
So fixed is the wrong word, and settled is the wrong word. I don't know how this nation is ever going to right itself, but it will have to deal with this division and this set of beliefs for 2 generations, if not longer.
Yeah, I thought I used to think the '60s were wild, man. I always said to myself, how the hell do we ever come back from the '60s
The 60s
and
were
the
kind of fun, except
division
the music was better.
that was in this country? Yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe that's what we need. We need a musical savior. We need another Jefferson Airplane.
We need the arts to reflect the attitude of the normal people of America. We need the arts to reflect that, and by that I mean film, television, music, the creative arts, the content that's similar to ours right now that's available online. These are elements to convince those that are undecided, and also to comfort those who have an opinion that they feel is not being listened to by the nation. And that's why Biden has to take a stance that is indelible. I stand for this. Your vote buys this. You need to support the opposite of what Trump
Yeah.
has invented. By the way, it's 11:11 right now. Remember, there was a time in 11:11 that our broadcast used to freeze and went on like that for 2 weeks. We
Yeah.
get to
Yeah.
11:11 and it would freeze. And
The
what I want
old
to know,
days.
what the hell was that all about? We've forgotten about it, but I just wondered where was it in the system of things across the nation that 11:11 was the time to freeze?
And it did it for like a week or two, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it did it like consistently. 11:11, man. It was like belly up. It's like somebody had a button somewhere. They just decided 11:11, man. Bip.
So that's what's going on right now. The freeze is in. Maybe we're off the air and don't know it. Well, it's 11:12. No, we're past it. We're
Yeah,
safe.
no, we're past it. We're good.
But America is not
11:11.
America as a nation is not past the 11:11 freeze. It's a challenge to us.
I'd forgotten all about that, man.
Being free and having the ability to buy video games is not enough. You're going to have to become more involved in the life of your nation if you intend to save it. The famous comment from Benjamin Franklin in Philadelphia when a woman asked him on the street, "You just finished the Continental Congress. What kind of a country do we have?" And he said, "We've given you a republic if you can keep it." Well, what that was considered to be just a clever comment for the first 200 years of this nation, but now it's more reality.
Yeah.
It's fun to have a new car and a new apartment, new clothes, and drive around on Hollywood Boulevard and enjoy the beautiful weather. What else is? But that's easy to do. If you're called upon to actually take a step to save the spirit of your nation, you have to do it with involvement, with activity, with activism, and with the vote. And there's no gray area on this. You can't say, "Well, I really don't know how I feel." Donald Trump's got some great ideas. That's what they said about Adolf Hitler. He had some wonderful ideas.
Yeah.
He also had some baggage that prevented the world from being a peaceful place for a long time, and he destroyed his nation utterly and completely.
Absolutely destroyed it.
And it's funny that
Absolutely.
the German people said, "Well, we've learned from having Adolf Hitler how we're going to proceed. We want to be successful, cool, metropolitan, cosmopolitan, educated. We want to be the Germans of the future. We're going to
Right.
reunite both East and West Germany. We're going to have a new country. We're going to make the best cars in the world. We're going to be famous for our engineering and our optics. We're going to be famous for having a peaceful nation and having learned a terrible, bloody, awful, murderous lesson." And you can learn from us. You can be the Germans of Europe, or you can be the Germans of 1930s. We tried both sides of that. We did it. with gusto, with German spirit both times. We went to the dark side, we've gone to the light.
And the light,
Take from our lesson what you want, but look at what Germany is like today, and look what it was when Adolf Hitler was our man.
yeah. And look how easily people were fooled into thinking that Adolf Hitler had the right idea.
The Fuhrer.
Look at how easily people in Germany bought what he was selling. Probably just as easily as many people buy what Donald Trump is selling.
They bought the lie.
$34.8 million worth in the last 20 hours. You couldn't raise that much money for the cerebral palsy telethon, could you?
If Jerry was there, maybe. Well, that's
That
the
was a
choice.
great moment. I mean, I just have to say that when Frank Sinatra put Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis together on the telethon, I forget what year it was. It had to be like 78 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the great moments of all time.
And
When
it was almost uncomfortable to watch, but they pulled it off as professionals.
when Dean came walking out, when Sinatra said to him, "I got a friend who wants to say hello to you," or something similar to that. I'm paraphrasing him, and Dino walked out. Uh, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. Matter of fact, there probably wasn't a dry eye among anybody who was watching that show. I mean, I remember watching that.
In fact, I think most of America saw it or saw highlights of that.
Certainly saw
because
the highlights
it
afterwards.
was such a breakthrough.
It was it was just one of those moments, and it's on YouTube. I mean, you can always go and watch it. But good God, you talk about an emotional. You talk about hitting somebody in the emotional gut.
And the funny thing was, they weren't really enemies. They had fallen out and then never made up.
Yeah,
Never got together again.
As a matter of fact, if I remember right, I mean, because I've read a couple of books on it. Jerry went to when Dino's son died. The one who was in the Air Force, Dean Paul, I think.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Jerry went to the funeral
Before the televised makeup.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was in the '60s, I think, late '60s, or maybe early '70s. But I think it was the late '60s. So they had. I mean, they had. It wasn't that they hadn't talked to each other in 30 years, and now all of a sudden, but they hadn't appeared together. They hadn't.
It was a big deal.
It was a big deal.
It
was for people who grew up in that era. For those two to get together was like their parents reuniting after they were divorced for 20 years. You know, it had that kind of effect on people. Maybe that's what we need in this country. We need a couple of people who don't like each other to get to start to like each other again. I don't know if there's any equivalent to that, is there?
Who they could be.
Yeah, I don't know that there's an equivalent of that right now.
I can't think of one.
Yeah, I can't off the top of my head think of either musically or I'm trying to think, is there some, two musicians who aren't talking? I mean, the closest thing you ever would have had to that probably would have been a Beatles reunion, right?
Yeah. Because, well, it would have to be John and Paul, and that can't be done.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't. You couldn't do it. Although they came close a couple of times, but
We have so much healing to do in the nation that I don't see it taking place. I don't see this is the type of disease that healing is not a factor yet. We don't even have a treatment for it.
yeah,
For,
yeah,
for the,
we're so isolated in so many ways. Um, Social media has played a part in it. Our own fears have played a part in it.
what about the idea that until someone pays for their crime, you can't get past it? Um, I mean, I always compare this to the Civil War because of the way it divided the country. But until Lee surrendered at Appomattox, that war was not over. The hostilities and the incredible slaughter continued day after day. And the South surrendered, but they never paid for their insurrection. They never paid. And if there's no penalty for that type of behavior, it simply underlines the fact that that in so many ways they may have lost, but they were right. They had the right idea. They hated the Yankees, but they couldn't beat them. But if they had beaten them, what would the result have been? How would they have conducted the end of the war, as opposed to the way the North conducted it? If Donald Trump and his committee of criminals don't pay for the damage they've done to this country, then the next fascist, the next Trump, the next awful leader, the next Antichrist will do just the same, if not worse. Because
Yeah.
we don't learn our lesson, and we don't, and no one pays for their transgressions. No,
Well,
there's no price.
I always tell people, imagine if Trump was actually smart. I mean, we're lucky that we're dealing with Trump because he's not, while he's smart in certain ways, he signals everything he's going to do. So you know what's coming before it comes. This will happen in the future with somebody who's slicker than Trump. And we won't know it's happening to us. You know, we're going to get somebody like this who's not going to stand up in front of you and tell you to put bleach in your arm. They're not going to be that stupid. They're not going to be a guy that talks with a New York accent and had a TV show. It's going to be somebody who's going to come out of nowhere.
Maybe not a politician.
Yeah, maybe not a politician. Maybe somebody who comes from maybe a Tucker Carlson there or whatever. It's
If you
Tucker
remember,
Slovakia.
the Bob Dylan song, sometimes the devil comes as a man of peace.
Yep. You never know what suit he's going to be wearing when he shows up.
He's wearing a nice suit. He was wearing a very nice suit. He was for the devil. He was well dressed.
Yeah, this time we're lucky. We got a guy that likes to wear red ties, so we can see him coming.
And see his friends dress identically to him. You know, that's so sick. That's so predictable. Everybody
It's
shows
scary, isn't it? When those idiots were standing there in with the red ties
It's
out
frightening.
front of the courthouse.
Yes. People with no self-respect.
It was like, what are you doing? You look like you're all dressed for Catholics for assembly. You
And
know,
were they just red ties, or did they wear Trump ties?
probably Trump ties. Wouldn't surprise me if he made them buy the ties.
They had to pay full freight.
Wouldn't surprise me at all if we told him to go down to the Trump store in Trump Tower and buy the ties.
The gift store in Trump Tower,
The
where
gift store.
where you get a nice red tie.
Boy, we could do an hour on what would be in that gift store.
Depends. Well, you got depends and red ties.
We got pins, we got documents,
You can buy a document.
nuclear codes. You want to buy the nuclear codes? We got them for you.
Adult diapers.
Now that they have back east when we were kids, you'd go on vacation, you'd go to like some historical site, and you could buy like a copy of the Constitution. And it would be like on parchment paper.
Yeah.
You know, and it would be really cool because for a minute you thought maybe this was the real Constitution.
This is it. Or you
This
can
is
just
it. Hey, look, I got it in the store for 15 cents.
it's on papyrus.
I was wondering if they had that same thing out here where you'd go in, they'd have, the Constitution of the United States, 15 cents on actual parchment paper.
Carry it with you at all times and refer to it.
Used to keep it in my book when I would go to school.
Yeah.
Maybe they'd sell that. Well, they probably got the Bibles.
Well, the Trump Bible is available for $55.95.
Yeah, you can get the Trump. Yeah, we'll have to do a show on what is in the Trump gift store. Or better yet, we could try to come up with all the rides that would be in a Trump amusement park.
The most famous ride is called the Witch Hunt, where you just drive through the dark and you look for the witch.
Right.
Maybe you find her, maybe you don't.
The witch hunt would be the big. It would be there. It's a small world. Would be the Trump equivalent of It's a Small World would be the witch hunt.
Wow.
Or the teacups would be McDonald's Coke.
Diet Coke.
Diet Coke container.
The ride is called "Can we get some Diet Coke in here?"
And you'd have all the bathrooms would have top secret documents spread all over them. 15 cents on parchment paper.
Take it home and regale your friends with top secret documents. Well, I know what you said it could very well be true, but I want jail time.
I think a lot of people do. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him in jail. I'd have no problem if they put him in jail. I just don't, from what I know of the New York justice system, I just don't think it's going to happen.
What happens? Does everybody go to Rikers if you're jail? Is that the city jail for all city offenses?
Yeah. You go to Rikers. You get held. There's detention centers in each borough, and then you get moved. If you're there more than a day or two, you get moved from that borough, from central booking to Rikers Island.
Which is a happy place, isn't it? I mean, that's a famous jail.
Not a happy place at all. 2600 Hazen Street is the address.
Hazen.
Hazen, Hazen Street. And you don't ever want to cross that bridge. You go down the end of Hazen Street, and there's a bridge that goes over to Rikers Island. You never want to cross that bridge.
That's a bridge too far.
For any reason whatsoever. My friend's mom used to be the crossing guard.
Oh, God.
On Hazen Street and Ditmars Boulevard. For years, Mrs. Mongaluzzi.
It's a job. There's a certain level of depression that goes with having that job day after day.
And the prison buses would pass her all the time. The buses going because they would get off, go to 49th Street, and they'd have to go down Hazen Street.
Come on in, we got room. Come on.
So she'd have to hold the kids back while the prison. More than once they had problems there where somebody tried to get out of a bus or some
Sure,
kind of crazy.
this is your last chance. If you cross the bridge, you're gone. If there's something desperate about your escape, now's the time to pull it off.
Yeah, yeah. Mrs. Mongoluzzi, she was there for years and years and years and years and years, man.
Now
Matter
she
of fact,
should write a book with what she's
she's
seen.
gone now, but I knew her before I knew her son. I mean, that's how long I knew her, because my dad used to have his gas station was down around the block from where she was the crossing guard. So when I was a little kid, I used to see her before I knew her son.
Wow.
Very famous in the neighborhood, Mrs. Mongoluzzi. All right, well, I think that about wraps it up for.
Well, let's change the subject a bit. Tell us about your show tomorrow. What are you driving, Vinnie?
Oh, I'm driving the Subaru Solterra.
Well, I like Subarus.
This is an all-electric Subaru. But when is a Subaru not a Subaru?
When it's an Altera.
When it's built by Toyota.
Really? Is this a partnership?
This is a Subaru that is built by Toyota.
And why did they come up with this? What has Toyota got right now that Subaru didn't have on their own?
These companies, to save money and to come up with carbon credits and to try to comply with the rules, these different rules, are literally helping each other out by building cars with each other. And
So
Toyota,
is it a Toyota frame or a Subaru frame?
it's basically a Toyota with Subaru badging on it.
Really?
It's basically like a RAV4, but it's
Four-wheel
badged
drive?
as a Subaru, and it has all-wheel drive as opposed to the Toyota, which I think only has two-wheel drive. I think that's the difference. So that's what I'm driving. I drove the Toyota already, and I like the Toyota. So I could imagine I'm going to like the Solterra too. It would be impossible. Although I did notice something on the Solterra, and now I have to go back and see if it's on the Toyota as well. But it seems like they have forgotten to include a rear windshield wiper.
That doesn't make good sense. Subaru.
Which, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So I got to call Subaru today and find out if that's in fact something that is Subaru only, or is it I mean, what is the reason for that? I can't imagine that you would put out a car today that doesn't have a rear
wiper.
I
used to love the rear wiper in our Subaru.
I'm old enough you are too old enough to remember when cars didn't have rear wipers.
Right.
And you just, you didn't look out the back. You couldn't see out the back if it was raining.
It's true. You could defrost it and clear the window, but not immediately.
Yeah, you couldn't. It was really hard. It's hard to see out of a back window.
Is this a two-seater?
No, this is a small SUV. 5 passenger SUV.
Right.
Like I said, it's about the size of the RAV4.
Gotcha.
Very stylish, very artsy in its design. It's a really nice looking vehicle. A lot of texture in it. A lot of storage space, a lot of different angles to it. I mean, it's really well designed interior.
Is Seattle still the home of Subaru buyers who love that car?
You know what? Seattle, I mean, I think I may be wrong here. I think the hottest selling car right now in Seattle is a Tesla.
Really?
Yeah. You see more of, I think this is the second biggest market for Tesla besides LA.
Man, we see so many down here, Ben. You can't believe the.
It's uglied up the streets in horrible fashion.
Yeah.
It's But they've done the impossible with Tesla. They've knocked Porsche drivers off as, the people you love to hate on the road. Used to be, if somebody was driving a Porsche, look at this asshole, No, now it's Tesla. Now Tesla has clearly taken that position from Porsche. So, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna have tape of a guy, or video of a guy who I don't know if you saw this story, but the guy was arrested for driving with a suspended license. So they have a Zoom meeting, Zoom courtroom.
In court, yes.
And he's driving his car.
Yeah, he takes the call behind the wheel.
And this is a country that we think there's hope for. So we got all of that. We will review the... are we doing the Ford Maverick tomorrow? Yeah, I think we're reviewing the Ford Maverick tomorrow. Also. And we're going to try to figure out what would happen to the electric car market if Trump were elected president.
Well, they'd probably institute a series of federal stops on the freeway where you'd be...
Yeah, well, he's already said he's going to put a tax on electric cars. So I don't know what, I don't know how much, what it's gonna do, but we'll delve into that a little bit and see if in fact what the consequences of that might be.
How about 11 o'clock tomorrow?
We'll do that at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Drive Time Radio. Don't miss it, man. If you miss it, you'll be missing it.
Have a good show, Vinnie. Have a good weekend. And
Mikey, you too. Have a good weekend, and I will catch up with you Monday morning if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise.
If you're behind the wheel, don't take a call from that judge.
I will not. Although I just noticed on here I got a call from Robert De Niro.
What did he mention me? Did he ask about me?
Yeah, he did. He says, what's he say here? Friend, it's Robert De Niro. I still can't believe Donald Trump. I've gotten probably over the last 24 hours 100 texts asking me for money for the Democratic Party.
You know who I got a text from? I got 2 yesterday from Barack Obama.
Yeah, well, listen, they're trying to fundraise off of this thing. We've been mentioning that they got 34 million, and Trump got 34 million. I haven't seen a number on what Biden's raised on it yet.
Now, remember, the 34 million figure is the Republicans telling you that's how much they got. So it could have been 5, it could have been nothing.
Yeah, or it could have been double that, and they're just not going to tell you.
If anything over 34, Donald gets to keep in his personal stash.
Well, the old saying, how do you tell a Republican is lying?
If he's talking.
His lips are moving. All right, Mikey. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, babe.
Oh, boy, what a wine. What's the name of that town in France? Where are we going?
Calabriere. Let's go. Let's get there.
Okay. I'm right
See you,
behind
Mikey.
you.
Thank you all for listening, too. We always appreciate it. Have a good one.